Have you ever read a PMP practice question that says, what should the project manager do first? What should the project manager do next? What is the best action to take? And your brain goes like, wait, these all sound right. How am I supposed to pick the right one? You're not alone. The PMP exam is sneaking like that. It's not about how many processes or ITTOs you can memorize, how many formulas. It's about whether you can think like a PMI project manager. Once you shift into that mindset, those tricky first, next, what should you do? Questions start to make perfect sense. So I'm breaking down exactly how to get into that mindset so that you can answer both predictive and adaptive questions confidently. Hi, I'm Anna Anderson, founder of the Women in Project Management Network and the Project Training Network. I help aspiring project managers and professionals like you pass the Project Management Professional Exam, also known as the PMP, on your first try. I know how overwhelming this exam can feel. Hundreds of pages to study, endless question banks, and tricky scenarios that make you sometimes second guess yourself. That's why today's episode is all about how to think through the PMP questions the right way. Whether the question is predictive or agile or hybrid, you'll know how to figure out what to do first, what to do next, and which answer PMI wants you to see. So the PMP exam is not just testing the knowledge, it's testing your judgment. Every scenario is asking, do you understand the sequence of actions? Will you make decisions that align with PMI's best practices? Can you stay calm and follow the right order instead of just reacting impulsively? Because sometimes that's what some people do, and then they end up picking the wrong answer. But here's the secret. If the question asks, what should you do first? This question is testing whether you can assess the situation before you go about acting. If it asks, what should you do next? It's checking what you should do, or rather, what's the logical follow up step after handling the initial issue? And if the question says, what is the best action to take? It's about choosing the answer that aligns with PMI's values, like leadership, communication, structured decision making. So once you think this way, the exam stops feeling like, it's tricking you and it starts feeling like a process. You're following some type of process. So we have different types of approaches in project management. We have the predictive way of doing work, which is pretty much sequential, plan driven. We have the adaptive way of doing work, which is adaptable, it's flexible. And then you have the hybrid, which is a combination of both. In predictive planning, again, as I said, it's plan driven. So PMI expects you to think in structured steps. So always think that way. When you see a question that is predictive, from your mindset perspective, make sure that you know that you're following a structure. So here are key principles. I want you to know that you need to follow the plan. The project plan and the baselines are your guide. So follow the plan because you're following those structured steps. Analyze before acting because I don't want you to make any changes without understanding what impacts they would have on your project. We also know in predictive way of doing work, documentation is important. Communication is important. So every action has some type of paper trail and also it has some type of a conversation. For example, let's say a stakeholder requests a small change to the project. What should a project manager do first? You're not just going to quickly make the change because this is predictive, because you're following a structured plan. PMI mindset says review the project plan and baselines to understand the impact. Is it going to impact the scope? Is it going to impact the budget? What is it going to impact? So review the plan and the baselines. Document a change request and then you submit that change request to the change control board because again, you're just not going to make the change. You have to document it. You have to document again a change request and then communicate the result to the team and stakeholders. Whether it was reviewed and approved or reviewed and rejected, communicate those results to the team and the stakeholders. So if the question said, what should the project manager do next? Then after submitting the change request, the next step here might be to update the documents that, hey, this change has been submitted, it's been approved, it's been rejected, and also communicate those changes. So this is a predictive tip. First is usually means that you want to assess or analyze. And then next means that you want to communicate, you want to update or execute according to the plan. So that's just a quick tip from the predictive way of doing work. Remember, you're following a structured plan. Agile is a different rhythm. You're flexible, you're collaborative, you're adaptive, and you're value focused. So a couple of key principles here mean change is normal. Deliver value quickly and continuously. So let's look at an example. During a sprint, a stakeholder wants a new feature. What should you do first? The agile mindset says capture the request in the product backlog. Even though, this change and it's flexible and collaborative, you want to capture the request in the product backlog. You want to work with the product owner so that they can prioritize the product backlog and then do not disrupt the current sprint. This is the agile mindset according to PMI. So if the question asked, for example, what should you do next? And maybe you've understood and looked at the question and it looks like it's an agile type question, the next step might be to review the priorities with the stakeholder during the backlog refinement, something like that. So an agile tip here means, for example, if the question says, what should you do first? Is often means you need to communicate, you need to capture or collaborate. You're not going to act alone. If the question says, what would you do next? It means that you're going to align with the team or adjust the backlog. You're not going to skip straight to delivery. Align with the team and understand what you're going to be doing next by adjusting things like the backlog. So now let's talk about the hybrid thinking for the exam. Some scenarios in the exam are hybrid, which means they blend predictive and adaptive way of doing work. Here's the mindset for hybrid. Use predictive where risk or compliance is high. Follow a structured plan where risk and compliance is high. Use agile where flexibility and innovation matter. Okay? Communicate before acting always. If a hybrid question, for example, says, what action should the project manager take first? Your answer usually involves assessing the impacts and also engaging with stakeholders before doing anything. All right. So we talked about agile, we talked about predictive, and also now we just talked about hybrid. So before you pick an answer, run through this quick checklist. Did I miss or did I assess before acting? Did I communicate before executing? Does this choice follow PMI's logical sequence? Is this predictive where you're going to follow a plan, or is this adaptive where you're going to embrace change? Does this protect stakeholders and support the project goal? So ask yourself those questions. If the question says first, think you're going to assess, think that you're going to communicate. If it says next, think of what you're going to do from an execution perspective, from maybe updating documentations and stuff like that, or what are you going to do to follow through? These are the things that will help you understand the question very, very quickly and also pick the right answer as you are doing your PMP examination. So that's the PMP mindset: predictive, adaptive, and hybrid. When you understand how to approach first, when you understand how to approach next, best action questions, the exam stops feeling like guessing or second guessing yourself and starts feeling like a conversation you already know how to have. If you're ready to pass your PMP on the first try, even if you're feeling overwhelmed or you are unsure, I do have a free session, How to Pass Your PMP on the First Try. It's coming up next week. Please sign up. The registration is right in the show notes or in the chat, or rather in the comments. You'll see it there. Please register, come, share with a friend. I'm going to share a couple of tips to help you pass your PMP on the first try. Even if you're feeling overwhelmed, even if you do not know where to start, I'm going to show you the exact study approach I've shared with people within my community. I'm going to give you the exact study approach, the mindset you need, and how to finally feel confident scheduling your PMP examination. Save your spot again, share it with a friend, and I cannot wait to see you there. Okay?